Madam Secretary, I'd actually like to take a little bit of my time real quick to turn to an actual Maryland resident. And I believe if we're going to spend that much time talking about Mr. Abrego Garcia, we need to talk about Rachel Morin.
Yep.
And she was a citizen of Maryland who was brutally raped and murdered in 2023 by another criminal illegal alien from El Salvador who had no business being in the United States. May her story and others like it serve as a reminder to the human cost of unchecked illegal immigration policies, the need to secure our border, and the need to swiftly remove criminal illegal aliens from the United States. Speaking of, let's go back. Take a look at what President Trump inherited. We talked about this earlier, but when Joe Biden took office, there were 3.3 million people on the non-detained docket. When President Trump took office, that number had risen to 7.6 million people on the non-detained docket. When you look at the docket, the President Biden, in his administration, spent their entire term simply allowing people and aliens to cross the border into our communities. Of those who had been given their final orders of removal, meaning they had their due process, the Biden administration simply sat on their hands instead of actively working to remove those individuals, which created chaos and, unfortunately, criminal opportunities on our interior. Thankfully, we have new leadership at the White House and a department who will no longer tolerate the subversion of our immigration laws and activities. I think since we're here to talk about the budget today, that's what I'd like to talk about. What do you and your department need, the brave men and women who serve alongside you, in order to secure our border, in order to keep our interior safe from coast to coast, and to continue to make America a safe, secure, and prosperous place to be?
Well, the Department of Homeland Security is tasked with overseeing 23 different components that are pretty broad, and it was formed after 9/11 in response to the terrorist attacks to help us secure our country and everything that's in the interior of our country. The President's budget request, along with reconciliation package, focus on what some of our greatest threats are that face our future and our children and grandchildren's ability to grow up here and to have a future. And that is continuing to secure our border, to make sure we're addressing technology needs that have been neglected for far too long, get our Coast Guard to the standard to what the missions are requiring them to be at to be successful, building more wall, more agents for CBP, more ICE agents and beds so that we can remove illegal criminals out of this country and dangerous individuals that are threatening our public safety. And then also going forward and looking at how we conduct operations on training our law enforcement officers, how we can put CISA back on mission at focusing on cybersecurity. The requests going forward focus in those areas and TSA so that we have the technology upgrades that we need to really make sure that we are doing due diligence to secure our country and the systems that help run our critical infrastructure.
This country safe. On that, your predecessor actually refused to call what was going on at the border a crisis. It is clear that's exactly what was happening. You also have shown that coming in, we did not need any new legislation to actually secure the border. You have taken action. President Trump has taken action to secure it. I mean, creating a space that we haven't seen in decades. You talked about a number of things. One of the things you just mentioned was a border wall. Can you talk about the construction of a border wall and what that would do for the men and women of CBP and overall at DHS? I know that we are a nation of immigrants. We're proud of that. We're also a nation of law, and lawlessness has to stop. And I believe that anybody on this dais that locks their door at night should understand the need for a border wall. The American people should have that level of security when they go to sleep at night. So can you talk about the importance of that and kind of how you see that unfolding?
We have currently over 700 miles of border wall on the southern border and infrastructure that is there operating today. Since President Trump has been in office, we've constructed another 77 miles that is in place. That is an inclusion of steel bollard wall that has been built, but also temporary wall that has been put forward with concertina wire and panels, and then also we have some waterborne buoys that are being utilized as well. We have 11 contracts that have been allocated to continue building infrastructure, and then also 5 more that are pending to be allocated to build more miles, to have that infrastructure there to help secure vulnerable areas. Now, the border wall will look different based on what the topography is and the geography is of the area. So there's some areas on the northern border and the southern border and out in our maritime infrastructure that we need that will have technology. It'll utilize Aerostar systems, radio frequencies, satellite systems. Those upgrades just simply haven't been made or prioritized under the last administration and need to be done. So we will use a combination for what's appropriate out there for the topography and working with the local states and tribal areas to make sure that it's something that secures our country, but also is something that they can help support and secure as well.
Thank you for that commitment. Vice Chair Murray.